Welcome to another tutor short provided by the Educational Support Services Department at Lehigh Carbon Community College in Schnecksville, PA, just outside Allentown. These videos cover key concepts for math and other math-based courses here at L-Tri-C. Please remember that the Educational Support Services Department does provide walk-in tutoring 5 days a week in math and other subjects. It's on working with fractions. Multiplying fractions, we have a simple rhyme to help you remember how to do it. Multiplying fractions is no big problem. It's top times top and bottom times bottom. Dividing fractions is as easy as pi. Flip the second one over and multiply. So some examples of multiplying fractions. So it's top times top and bottom times bottom. Our first example is 4/5 times 6/7. 4 times 6 on the top makes 24 on top. On the bottom is 5 times 7, or 35. That is your answer. Our second example is 5/9 times 3/7. So we do top times top. 5 times 3 is 15. Bottom times bottom. 9 times 7 is 63. With fractions, you always want to reduce if possible. In this case, both the top and bottom can be reduced by 3, which gets me a final answer of 5/21. And then again, we have the same problem, 5/9 times 3/7. The first time I did it, I reduced at the end. It's also possible to reduce before you start. If I look, I have a 3 on the top and a 9 on the bottom. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So long as you have something on top and something on the bottom that you can reduce like that, you want to do it. That way you can reduce at the beginning, so you end up with smaller numbers rather than reducing at the end. 5 times 1 on top is 5. 3 times 7 on the bottom is 21. Same answer, different method. Our last example for multiplying is 2 2/3 times 5 4/5. These are both mixed numbers because they have both a whole number in front and a fraction. Anytime you have a whole number and a fraction, you need to make it into an improper fraction because we can't have the whole number sitting out front. To do that, I do 2 times 3, which is 6, plus the 2 on top, means this is equivalent to 8/3. 5 4/5. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 4 makes 29/5. Now I need to do top times top. 8 times 29 is 232. 3 times 5 on the bottom is 15. So now I can leave it like this as an improper fraction, or sometimes you may want to make this into a mixed number again. To do that, I say 15 goes into 232 how many times? 15 goes into 23 once. 1 times 15 is 15. Subtract, and I get 8. Bring down my 2. 15 goes into 82 5 times. 5 times 15 is 75. Subtract again, and I have 7 left over. So this is 15 7/15. These answers are equivalent. Which form you use depends on what you need. So now we move on to dividing fractions. Dividing fractions is easy as pie. Flip the second one over and multiply. So our first example is 5/4 divided by 3/8. So I keep the first the same. It stays 5/4. And I change it to multiply, and I take my second fraction, 3/8, and flip it. So it becomes 8/3. 5 times 8 is 40. 4 times 3 is 12. Both of those I can divide by 4 to reduce my fraction. 40 divided by 4 is 10. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So that's 10/3. 3 goes into 10 3 times with 1 left over. So my answer is 10/3 or 3 1/3. Next we have 7/6 divided by 9/10. So the 7/6 stays the same and becomes times 10/9. Now last time I reduced at the end when I divided both the top and bottom by 4. This time I'm going to do my reducing in the beginning. Both 6 and 10 are divisible by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 7 times 5 is 35. 3 times 9 is 27. 27 goes into 35 once, subtract 27, and I get 8. So this is the same as 1 8/27. Now I have 6 2/5 divided by 8/15. First thing I need to do is make my 6 2/5 into an improper fraction. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 2 makes 32 over 5. And then take my second fraction and flip it over. So that becomes 15 over 8. Now this is one where using the reducing ahead of time can make your life a lot easier. Instead of doing 32 times 15, 5 and 15 both divided by 5, I get 1 and 3. 32 and 8, I get 4 and 1. 4 times 3 on the top is 12. 1 times 1 on the bottom is 1. 12 over 1 is 12. Our last division example is 2/5 divided by 30. Keep the first fraction the same. Change it to multiply. When I flip over 30, this is really the same as saying 30 over 1, so it becomes 1 over 30. 2 times 1 is 2. 5 times 30 is 150. I can divide both by 2 and get 1 over 150 divided by 2 is 75. So now it's time for adding and subtracting fractions. If adding or subtracting is your aim, the bottom numbers must be the same. Change the bottom using multiply or divide, but the same to the top must be applied. When we say the bottom numbers must be the same, that's called your common denominator. When you add or subtract, you must have a common denominator. It's 1/5 plus 2/5. These already have the same common denominator, both 5 in the bottom, so 1 plus 2 on the top is 3/5, and that's our final answer. Our second example, 5/9 plus 1/3. A common multiple of both 9 and 3, we can use 9. So I don't have to do anything to the first fraction. It stays 5/9. Then 1/3. How do I get 3 to become a 9? I'd have to multiply it by 3. If I do it to the bottom, I do it to the top. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 5 plus 3 on the top is 8/9. 3/4 plus 2/3. Common denominator for fourths and thirds. 4 and 3 can make 12, so we do 4 times 3, 3 times 3, and you get 9/12. For this one, we'll do 3 times 4 and 2 times 4, and get 8/12. 9 plus 8 is 17/12, which is 1 and 5/12. Next, we have 7/12 minus 1/9. A common multiple for both 12 and 9 is 36. So I'm going to multiply the first fraction, top and bottom, by 3. And I get 21 over 36 minus 1/9. I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 4 to get my 36 on the bottom. So that's 4/36. 21 minus 4 is 17/36. Now in this case, I knew that 12 and 9 are both factors of 36, so I could use 36 as my denominator. If you don't know that 12 and 9 can both make 36 with other numbers, sometimes it's just easier to use a common denominator, that is, the two denominators multiplied together. So if I do this again, 7/12 and 1/9, multiply the first fraction by 9 on the top and bottom, and then I get 63 over 108 minus my second fraction. I'll multiply top and bottom by 12, and I get 12 over 108. So in this case, my common denominator was 9 and 12 make 108. 63 minus 12 makes 51. But I can reduce this. 51 and 108 are both divisible by 3. 51 divided by 3 is 17. 108 divided by 3 is 36. Same answer as last time. Just took a little more work because I had bigger numbers that I was working with. Our last example is 8 and 4/9 minus 7 and 4/5. As always, since I'm subtracting, I need to start with a common denominator. Common multiple of 9 and 5 is 45. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 5 for the first one. So I get 8 and 20 over 45 minus 7 and 4/5. I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 9. So I get minus 7 and 36 over 45. Now when I go to subtract, I have 20 minus 36. I can't take 36 away from 20. I need to borrow. So I'm going to reduce my 8 to a 7 and add 45 to the top of the fraction, because that's the same as adding 45 over 45, or 1, which is what I've taken away from the 8. So now I have 7 and 65/45 minus 7 36/45. So 65 minus 36 is 29/45. 7 minus 7 is 0, but I don't really need to have a 0 sitting in front, so it's just 29/45.